How to be a student athlete. Some people may think it's just a common sense question. Play a sport for your school, wear a jersey, get picked for the team. Wrong, wrong, and wrong. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this thing down, give you several steps of how you can be not only a student athlete, because that's low-hanging fruit. I want you to be one of the best student athletes. I want you to be able to maximize your time as being a student athlete. I want you to be able to look back on your student athlete days and be something proud, something that you can be proud of, and not just something you can just say, well, I won a championship or something athletic. No. That's a waste of time. If it's just athletic, we want you to be better people having gone through this process. I'm going to tell you the right way to do this, okay? The first thing is love the sport that loves you back. Some of you may be in love with a sport that may only like you. Some of you just have attributes, skill sets that lend to a different sport. If you want to be a student athlete and you want to eventually get to a place where someone's actually going to pay you to be a student athlete, and sometimes that's not a scholarship. Sometimes that's just you being on a team. Sometimes that you represent the university. That's a form of payment as well, right? So if you want to be in that situation, you got to remove your emotions about this process and understand that sometimes a sport loves you more than you love it, and that can lead to opportunity for you. Case in point being, there's some individuals that may like basketball, but their skill set, their size, their strength could be better served if they wanted more opportunities if they played football. Now, I'm not trying to endorse any particular sports in particular, but you gotta understand that when you first start playing sports, I started pretty late. I started like in 9th grade. You want that time to be devoted to trying different sports, figuring out which ones that feel more natural to you. Not the one that you like, not the one that you just, you enjoy so much, because that's not important. All right? Listen, if you don't believe me, ask your parents. A lot of your parents are working jobs they may not like, okay? But they do what they need to do because it gives you the resources that you have. So this is your first microcosm of that same thing, is realizing that, I may like to do this, but if this is going to pay the bills to the point where I can have a quality of life that I would like in college, then this is what I want to do. And I want you to be mature enough to ask yourself the tough question. Am I loving the sport that loves me back? Have I got a wide range of experiences in different sports to just see, could I be more successful at a different sport? Some of you may not understand this, but having worked at a major Division I program, having been a student athlete, having worked with top Division I athletes, Division II athletes, Division III athletes, I'll tell you this. You may not be a Division I athlete when it comes to basketball, but you could be a Division I athlete when it came to, a different sport, rowing, baseball, football, like whatever, fill in the blank. Just because you're not a Division I athlete at one sport does not mean you're not a Division I athlete at all sports. And I'm not trying to tell you that Division I is the only level of sports you should be playing. Right? I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm the person that tells you need to be out there trying to find the best fit for you. I've been saying that since 2015, 2016 on this channel, right? Whatever is the best fit for you. But what I will say is you got to make sure that you playing a sport will offer you the most opportunities as possible, because that's just going to help your odds moving forward. So pick the sport that loves you back, not the sport that you like, not the sport that you just enjoy being around, not the sport that your dad was a coach so you was always around it. Are you good at it? You got to start picking out the metrics that mean the most to you. If you get in this world of being a student athlete and your self-worth and your mood, your health, your quality of life is all dependent upon a metric that you didn't come up with, then you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for failure. So I don't want you to decide, I don't want your happiness to be decided on a win or loss. That's a binary thing, and sometimes it's not in your control, right? You can get hurt, all kinds of stuff. I don't want you to be so hell-bent on that. I want you to, don't get me wrong, I value wins. You know what I mean? I value that. But I don't want that to be the only reason why you feel like a winner or yada, yada, yada. I want you to think about, like, did I give it my all? right? Was I a cheerleader for my teammates? Was I positive, right? Was I being negative on the end of the bench? And I wasn't getting playing time, so I was just, I was hurting the team. Did I get up extra shots if you're playing basketball? Did I go and look at film? That goes with any sport. Did I go and look at film? Did I put in extra time? Am I taking care of my body? Did I do that successfully? You can do all those things successfully and still lose a game. Okay? You can do all that stuff successfully and not be MVP. You can do that all successfully and not be the newcomer of the year. You can do that all successfully and not be a starter. That's fine. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away your competitive drive and wanting to start and wanting to be MVP and all those things and won the championship. All that stuff is great. But I'm saying if you are only dependent upon these man-made metrics that someone else came up to decide your greatness, man, you're going to be worn out. Because they only give them out for so many people. You're going to be worn out. And let me tell you this. I don't want to get off the beaten path. But contrary to popular belief, who ends up with that is not necessarily the person who just worked the hardest. That's foolishness. But I went over that already in many videos before, so you can look at that stuff. I've talked about that at nauseum of this whole idea of like whoever works the hardest, that's the person who's going to win the championship. If you believe that, that means you haven't been around enough sports, you haven't played enough sports, you don't know enough about sports or life for that matter. But let's get to number three. Number three, what else? Let's see. If you want to be a student athlete, the perfect way to be a student athlete is you got to learn how to prioritize what gets you paid. And again, sometimes paid doesn't mean scholarships. That doesn't mean, because every time I say paid, I mean there's a connotation with paid and monetary value. Being on a team is still a form of payment. Representing university is still a form of payment, right? Even being on the practice squad, that's a form of payment. Now, do we want money? Yeah, bring me the bread, player. Yeah, I want the money. Yeah, I want the money. But at the same time, understand there's a lot of different forms of payment, okay? But you got to prioritize what gets you paid. So that means your sport. You cannot say you want to be a student athlete and you're not putting in extra time in your craft. No, man. No, man, that's not how that works. You cannot say you want to be a student athlete and you're not going to class. You're not studying. Nope, that's not going to work. That's not. You're not what you claim to be. I know some people can get away with it because they may be natural in some certain areas. They may be naturally just a good student and they have a good foundation of academics previously, so that can kind of carry over in some classes. I get that. And some people are just athletic or whatnot. I get that as well. But as you go up in levels, if you want to be a student athlete, you got to dedicate some time to those things in order to do that. And I would even add on to that. I don't want to stay in just academics and academics and athletics, because I recognize you as being a human being and you're not a robot. So you need to invest in just what makes you you. But we'll get into that a little bit later as well. What else? Let's see. Learn how to be efficient. You need to learn how to be efficient. If you're going to be a student athlete, you got to learn how to be efficient in your work. Okay? Again, we're going to take this academically and we're going to take this athletically. Academically, how can I be as efficient as possible as it relates to my academics? Is that studying with music? Is that studying with my AirPods? Is that going to social gatherings and we like group study? Does that work for me? For me, it didn't work for me. It may work for you. You got to figure out what's going to be more efficient for you. Because for me, if I go to those situations, afterwards, I got to restudy it again by myself, quiet. I don't even want to hear my heartbeat when I'm studying. You understand? I don't want to hear myself breathe, none of that. I need total silence. But that just lets me know I wasn't efficient when I was studying with those other people, because that wasn't helpful for me. I got to make sure I know how I study, number one, but I get straight to it. I get straight to what's actually getting me paid. And that is studying by myself, hold my breath so I can think, and focus. That's the most efficient path for me. So athletically, this is one of the biggest hacks I can tell you as far as sports are concerned. This goes across all sports, and that is this. When you practice how you're going to play. I'm 6'4". I played at a Division II school. back against the basket, garbage points, dunks, blocks, running the floor, trash points, that kind of stuff. If that's what you do, back against the basket, that kind of stuff, then why the devil are you shooting threes in practice? I will write it on my notebook. How many shots, how many threes I'm gonna get from here? How many threes I'm gonna get from here? How many threes I'm gonna get from here? Shots at the elbow, shots in the short corner. It's like, you are wasting time, dude. You are wasting time. You should be looking at where are you gonna get shots at in the game. That's it. I know you, because sometimes when you feel like you're playing the wrong position, you want to prove that you can play a different position. So you start working on other things like, oh yeah, coach is going to see you. He's going to play you here. No, dude, they're going to play you where they already have it in their mind where they're going to play you, where they recruited you to be. It's like once they see you for the first time, it's locked in their mind. That's where they want you to be at. Unless you have one of these developmental coaches and they work with you and they say, listen, I would like you to expand your game I would just work on the thing that you know is going to get you paid, that's going to get you playing time. Here's another thing I would do. I would make sure, my next thing I want you to do is, I don't know what number we're on, but the next thing I would do is figure out what the coach vision is for the team and what role you need to play in that vision in order to be successful. Now, again, this is you got to be mature for this type of deal. If you want to be a student athlete, there's got to be a level of maturity that you look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, what role do I need to play? What role do my ego wants me to play? Because you got to get rid of the ego and you got to think about what's the best role for my team and not what's the best role for my ego. And what better way to figure that out is to ask your freaking coach. Because their opinion is the only opinion that matters. Not your mom, not your dad, not from people from around the way, not your teammates, not people. No, your coach. That's the person you need to talk to. So ask your coach, what is the vision for the team and how do you feel that I will work in that vision? Because the last thing you want to be doing is pulling one direction, your coach to go in the other direction. You're just going to wear yourself out. You're just going to wear yourself out. So make sure you ask that. Another thing I would say is make sure, I don't even know what number we're on now, but make sure in this process of being a student athlete, there's a lot of talk about, blood, sweat, and tears, the last one in the gym, first one in the gym, last one to leave, study, just focus on your craft, all that stuff. It's good for commercials when you want to sell some shoes. It's good for motivational speeches when you want to just go out there and get them doing a pep rally or something. But it's not good for being a human, okay? Now, I don't know who else on the internet is saying this, but you're going to hear it from your big brother Bill here first. I've been saying this since 2016, and that is save some room for your hobbies and things outside of being a student athlete. That doesn't make you less competitive. That doesn't make you less of a warrior, less of the Mamba mentality. None of that. You need to take care of yourself, okay? Part of you are having issues because you've put all your eggs in one basket because that's what will celebrate it to you. Everybody told you that you just got to put all your eggs in this sport basket. Then they're upset on the flip end when you're like, well, what are you going to do when the ball stops bouncing? Joker, you've been telling me to be worried about the ball bouncing the whole process. This has got to be something that you advocate yourself for. You got to make sure that you put yourself out there in social environments and you network with people and you go out there and explore your hobbies. If that means playing video games, if that means going to parties, kickbacks, or whatever you call them, then that means that responsibly. But you need to do that. You're still human at the end of the day. And what I found out is when you do that, you're even more excited when you come back to the game. Now you appreciate it even more. When you're locked in a room just playing that sport, listen, man, you go stir crazy. They say that stuff all the time about, oh, I just sacrificed so much, I didn't go out the park. I think they are lying. I think people just they just like their ego stroke, man. All these athletes, you be hearing that stuff, they just like to be fluffed up and just be looked at like holier than thou. They like that kind of stuff. They like they fan the flames of how great I am. Tell me how great I am. They like that stuff. But I don't have any ego as it relates to that anyway. I'm sure I have ego in some other things, but not as it relates to my time as being a student athlete. So I can give you the real on what it is and what it's not. All right. And my next thing is this. I want you to maximize your networking opportunities. And that may just be a fancy word for you because you may not think that it's not even important, but network is important. And I'll tell you this, some of you are, let me say this, all of you are celebrities right now, whether you know it or not. I don't care what sport you play. I don't care. You're a celebrity. because you're an ambassador for the university, and there's some people that will take your call now that wouldn't take your call if you're just a normal student. Okay, so use that to your advantage. You can get bent out of shape and be like, oh, they just want me for this, my clout, all this other stuff. But no, you got something. You got some bargaining chips. You being a student athlete could open some doors for you. So if you want to be an orthodontist, if you want to be a dentist, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be whatever you want to be, a coach, whatever you want to be, use your celebrity now to rap on them doors and see if you can get an internship, to see if you can build those relationships. Because a lot of times, man, this is another thing that I try to tell y'all on a regular basis. Listen to me. These grades they be telling y'all about, oh, make sure you get the dean's list. You want to be a honorary scholar and all this other stuff. Yeah, they sound good. And there's no knock against them. I'm just a special ed kid, right? So they end up getting a master's degree and graduating high school when nobody thought I was going to graduate high school. So take it for a grain of salt. But what I found out in this real world is the promotions, the deals that are done, they are done with people that people like, know, and trust. Not people that had the highest GPA, not the people that made the dean's list, not the people that there was never tar, they had perfect attendance. Nah, that's not what that is. That's not what that is. I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, but what I'm saying is networking, specifically, this is for my student athletes, specifically with people that do not look like you, specifically with people that do not play sports. Once you get out of that mode of like, I gotta just be around other athletes or I gotta be with other people that look like me, listen, your networking game is gonna be through the roof. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. I'm glad you stayed to the very end. This is a good one. This is the last one too. I talk about this in my book. I don't know if y'all read it or not. Where is it at? It's on that counter over there. Right there. It's at Amazon too. Y'all should pick it up. Don't say plan, be a backup plan to aspiring pro athlete. For you parents that are trying to help your student athletes out, your coaches trying to help your student athletes out, that book is the best. Nobody, listen, man. Come on, man. Go ahead and grab that book. But here's the last one. Understand that this process of being a student athlete, it's on you. You got to have some ownership. It's going to be your debit card you're swiping. Everybody giving you all these doggone opinions about, oh, this is what I would do if I was in your head. All that foolishness. It's going to be you. They can give you recommendations, but it's going to be on you. This is your time. This is your energy. This is your blood, your sweat, your tears. It's going into this. Yours. Not your mom, not your dad. It's yours. You have to live with those decisions. You know them loans you took out? Just for you want to go on spring break because you want to flex with your friends, my hood rat friends, with your friends. You got to own up to that, right? You don't pay your debts. That's your credit, player. That ain't nobody else's. Nobody. You in there majoring in wash your hands with bubbles, wash your hands with soap blowing bubbles. That's gonna be on you. That's not gonna be on anybody else. They'll smile and have you taking those crazy classes right now just to stay eligible. That's cool now. But 1 year after you get done, these people ain't gonna know your freaking name, man. I'm trying to tell you from experience. So have some ownership over this process. And it's a lot. I'm not trying to say it's gonna make sense. All of it's not gonna make sense to you day one. Give yourself patience, give yourself grace, give yourself empathy, and realize that these people that's working in financial aid, these people that's working in the registrar's office, these people that's working in admissions, they didn't know all this stuff their first day of working there. They have to learn as well. So you learn bit by bit. Don't be signing up for stuff just because it's available. Don't be taking classes just because somebody said you should take a class. College is a big machine. You need to make sense of it. And put some people in your corner that speak college fluently so you can start picking up that language. Because there's a lot of people that don't pick up the language, and if you don't pick up the language, you know what you end up picking up? Regret and debt.